Hello everyone, thanks for dropping by. We're now in the third week of October 2021, and as it's October, we're in the back end of 2021. From what I've been reading, the marriage industry and marriages in America tend to peter out in the latter part of autumn. So we're on the declining part of the marriage industry, and to all intents and purposes, it's on a decline now until next year. So as a result, I thought I'd have a look around on the internet to see if I can find anything statistic-wise, how the marriage industry in America is doing, and especially the divorce rate America is doing, and naturally if MGTOW is having any effect on both. So looking around, I came across this. As you can see, it's the Atlantic, and it says wedding season 2021 is a perfect storm. Not a perfect storm of badness. This article is all about goodness and rainbows and love and all that kind of thing. Now this was written on June 14th. It's mostly giving you an update and feel-good factor about how the wedding industry is booming because people are walking down the aisle en masse. It says couples are also spending less time engaged. Zola Wedding Planning and Register website found in an internal survey that couples in 2021 are getting married much sooner after their engagement this year than they were in 2019. The unprecedented wedding season is packed with many social calendars. Couples who have postponed their weddings in some cases more than once are vying for resources with couples trying to book venues and photographers for the first time. All's well and lovely in the garden, and I'm sick of hearing about those two. As postponements began butting up against new bookings this summer, Bab, a photographer, hired 4 new freelancers. Ashley Beck, a catering sales manager in Boston, says her workload has surpassed even the busiest month of 2019. It's like 10 times as crazy back in 2019. Many couples have gotten married during the pandemic and been forced to rethink and scale back their nuptials and micro weddings, elopements and Zoom ceremonies, whatever that is, gained favour last summer. And Stacey Lee, a florist and the owner of Pioneer Design. Have a look at that. That's their website. Get rid of that. Is currently working with a handful of couples for the second time, creating arrangements for their large celebrations more than a year after their backyard ceremonies. Even Lee, who is non-binary. Well, that's a load of bollocks for a start. Stacey, you are not non-binary, you are a woman, a human female. Every time you look in the mirror, you see a woman looking back at you. Anyway, she said he's having the busiest wedding season ever. They say they're relishing their return to work. Clients are excited and finally to get married, and Lee is delighted to get to deliver flowers to bride once again. Now, to back that up, I found this on a site called Desert News. Wedding bells have to ring loud and long to make up for the large pandemic decline. Now, this was written on the 9th of August this year. It's more or less the same thing, all sweetness and light, all's good in the garden. But the average price of a wedding in America is about $25,000. And there were 2.47 million of them. Marriage is definitely up this year in 2021 and a reflection of pent-up demand for weddings. After 2023, the wedding industry is likely to set to back to normal patterns, which 4 years prior to the pandemic has been going down. And on and on and on. What about divorce? Oh, before I do that, I clicked on that, and this is the COVID-19 wedding. Here we are, 2019 drop. As the article says, it's on a boost. Next year it's supposed to peak at 20 2.47 million, and then it'll drop down. Anyway, small number of states will compete with data that think they prove a pattern that holds. The country has seen as many as 339 fewer marriages and as many as 190 fewer divorces. So after the marriage comes the divorce. The near future numbers look bright for the industry. The NPR has suffered $25 billion in losses. It will take a massive surge to make up for the number of marriages that probably would have but did not take place in 2020, hence the surge in marriages. Delayed but not happening. 21,000 in March to June, 21,000 fewer marriages and 16,000 fewer divorces in those states that would have been predicted based on the previous year's numbers. 5 states have published monthly statistics: Arizona, Florida, Missouri, New Hampshire and Oregon showed a clear drop in both marriage and divorce in the early months of the pandemic. As more states have been added to the 5 they originally studied, the pattern hasn't changed. And then it goes on. Every year more than 2 million marriages take place in just the 9 states. There were 400,000 fewer marriages than expected for 2020. So things are not all that rosy in the garden, despite what those 2 other articles said. Wedding expense and how long the marriage lasts, by the way, do not necessarily go hand in hand according to the 2014 survey. Then we come to the flip side of all this. What about divorce? Arizona marks its own music, standing out the state that entered a nearly full marriage and divorce recovery. She expects some marriages might be lost forever. People who want a divorce are more likely to get one and make up for whatever delay the pandemic brought. But since it costs more to get divorced than to get married, well, if it costs $25,000 to get married, think how much it costs to get divorced. Absent a large wedding, she said that some couples may find they cannot afford the legal breakup. Now that's that article. The marriage industry in America is quite large. I found this. It's a $51.2 billion a year market, and it's supposed to be growing 11%. Those 2 articles back that up. But it's minus 8.8% in wedding services. And there's the stats. 2021 it dropped and it's growing again. Now if you go on full analysis, which is this, it gives you an indication. There's $51 billion a year market. There's 320,552 businesses involved in the marriage industry in America. And they employ about 900,000 Americans. Now comes the divorces. Divorce rate in America for 2021. It's quite a long article, so I'll just stick with the editor's picks. Current divorce rate in the US is 29 persons per 1,000. Divorce among people aged 50 is rising. Now I wonder why that is. Is it because the woman's had enough? I've read horror stories where one guy, his wife waited till the day after he retired, then she filed a divorce and he lost nearly everything. Fewer couples chose to marry than in 1990. The US divorce rate is amongst one of the highest in the world. Could that be the cause of third-wave feminism? There are currently over 250,000 divorces in the US each year. Most Americans who file for divorce do so between January and March. Well, it'd be interesting to look for the statistics on that. Now, I found this divorce rate in the United States. These, as you can see, are all the states of America. Here's Maine. Well, if I was going to move to America, that's where I'd like to live. they have a 14% divorce rate. But compare that with California here. Now only 9%. Now if you take a step back and you look at that with a logical mind, California is one of the hot spots for third wave feminism and all sorts of woke wankery. So if fewer people are getting married, then there'll naturally be fewer people getting divorced. But anyway, New York, incidentally, is up there. Shouldn't New York be down here? I'm not an American, I don't know. And New Jersey also. Now, hotspots for feminism is in this area and this area. Nevada has a 14% divorce rate like in Maine. So what's going on in those two? Your guess is as good as mine. But anyway, it just gives about stats of divorce. Arkansas, nearly said the other one then, is 10.7%. Now stats with the lowest divorce rate is Maine 4.8, but then it says that the highest divorce rate is Maine 14. So they got the figures messed up there. The final article I found is this. It's The Hill. Now that I assume means Washington DC. It's not much of an article, however, where if I can find it. Whoops, do this. Whoa, come on, Christopher. This is the most interesting paragraph. It says, also in the US, men continue to be more likely than women to have never been married. For example, whereas in 1990, the proportions never married were 30% for men and 23% for women. 9 years later, by 2019, the proportions had increased to 35% for men and 30% for women. Now I would take a guess and say that that is the result of MGTOW. It says, marriage rates across America generally to be highest in the western states and lowest in the eastern states. Well, the western states tend to be more conservative in America than the eastern states, which is full of feminism and woke wankery. The decline in marriage rates is not unique to America, but also occurred in overseas countries. And let's have a look at that. Nope, just a PDF. Sod that. Trends in delayed marriage, increased cohabitation, remaining single have taken place across all major regions of the world during the past several decades. That could be the result of MGTOW. America's marriage rate has uniquely declined over the recent past and reached the historic low in 2019. Now that's all the relevant one for that article. The last one I found was this. It's not much of an article, but this surprised me. Never married on the rise. Percentage of never married adults by sex and age. Now this only goes up to 2016. But look, 29 years old to 25 years old to 29 years old for guys in the blue. Look at that. Next group, 30 to 34 years old, the prime marrying age. It's gone up and then it flattens out. Then it rises a bit, and then I'm in this lot, because I'm 64. But 2006 to 2016, in the 10 years, MGTOW started to get traction over the internet and various social networks. Sandman, all the other people that report on MGTOW. And when I found out about it, the people, guys, are never getting married. I imagine MGTOW is the result of this happening. But anyway, back to the main article that started off. 2021 is a perfect storm. It'd be interesting to see what the marriage and divorce is for 2022, because after the marriage comes the process of building a life together, and women might not want to do it. After a couple of years they might start getting bored, and then they file for divorce, and then they will get the divorce rates of 2.9% per thousand. And this could change. But anyway, I think this video's gone on the 10-minute mark, maybe a bit longer, but MGTOW, according to this, is definitely having an effect on Americans that are never bothering to get married. No matter what the marriage industry says, it's gonna change over the next few years, and this might change. This could, instead of a slight drop, could make a dramatic drop. It might get down to this level, but we'll have to wait and see. Right, people, you know the routine. Comment, subscribe, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever it is that you do. It's completely up to you. So until next Monday, I might do one on Star Wars because Kathleen Kennedy's contract ends this month. So that's it for this one. Bye-bye.